stands out face to face. Face to Face cuts through the noise and goes straight to the heart of the matter as your host confronts personalities in politics, governance, society, and business on the topical issues facing the country.
If you said to me that you made £1 million out of scraps in the United Kingdom at age 19, that would raise eyebrows, and I ought to ask you how you made it.
Umaru, first of all, if anybody wants to find out how I acquired my wealth before even 21, it's on the internet. You know, I have built hotels. I've done all of that. It's all there. It's bringing me income. It's yielding. I'm creating employment.
You introduced free SHS in 2017, and for 7 years, you are still having the same problem.
No,
it means you have
that's
not
false.
That's very accurate.
No, that's false.
Schools still have challenges with boarding house, dining hall,
Umaru,
classrooms.
I like context.
Yes.
I like debate, but I like factual debate.
Yes.
It's false. And I'll tell you what. Dr. Bawumia has humbly acknowledged what our challenges or our shortfalls have been as a government. He has outlined what the successes have also been. And he is giving cogent, clear vision points for each of the sectors.
It's the worst, government we've ever had to combat corruption.
Join Umaru Sanda Amadou every Tuesday at 9 p.m. on Face to Face as he explores the issues that shape our nation. Only on Channel 1 TV.
"37 days to election 2024. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to another exciting edition of The Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. On Situation Room, we talk politics, and there's just a few days to the election. We'll tell you what the presidential candidates, the main candidates in this election, have been up to, what the Electoral Commission has also been up to. And just this week, we had the sad news on the passing of Madam Akua Donkor of the Ghana Freedom Party. We'll tell you the implications. There are others who have made some arguments whether she should still remain on the ballot. The EC issued a statement some few days ago announcing some changes in respect of the printing of the ballot. When I come back from the break, I'll tell you who I'm doing the show with and we'll discuss the matters.
Get ready.
Every objection against you is hereby dismissed.
For Impact 2024 with the Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, Reverend Dr. Eastwood Anaba, Apostle Joshua Selman, Apostle E.C. Igeneba, Bishop Dr. Bernard Ojiri Asari, and Reverend Dr. David Entry. November 24th to December 1st, 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. daily at Action Chapel International, Prayer Cathedral, Dominion Arena. For inquiries or pass information, call 059-230-0069.
Welcome back. This is The Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sammy Wiafe, and today I'm here with
Tettey Djabanor. Sammy.
On Situation Room, we talk politics, as I mentioned earlier, and with some few days to the election, we'll tell you what the political parties have been up to and their presidential candidates and the Electoral Commission. Just this week, we had a sad news, the passing of Madam Akua Donkor, the leader and founder of the Ghana Freedom Party. One of the parties or one of the candidates who was part of the individuals going to be part of this election. Unfortunately, there was news that she passed somewhere on Tuesday after a short illness. Now, her passing has brought about some discussion in respect of the election, whether she will still be on the ballot, whether she should be taken out of the ballot. The Electoral Commission has announced that they've already started the printing of the ballot and near completion following the death of Madam Akua Donkor. Well, this is the first time many people have heard the passing of a presidential candidate some few days or some few months to a major election. Fred Djabanor will take us through what the processes are, what the CI that's going to govern this election, and what the constitution of this country says in respect of such a particular matter. Fred, it was sad hearing that Madam Akua Donkor was no more. She brought some lights, I'll put it that way, in the politics of this country. How do you receive the news, first of all?
Sammy, I saw this news somewhere around 1 a.m. the day after she passed away. We are told she passed away at 10 p.m. on Monday. So I wake up quite early. So
I know you wake up early. I know that.
Quite early. So around 1 a.m. went to check my phone and I saw a message from someone asking to confirm the story. At the time, I didn't even heard the story myself. So then we, as usual, had to put in our processes to confirm the unfortunate passing of Madam Akua Donkor. Between 1 and 5 a.m. at dawn, we were able to confirm the passing through the son of Madam Akua Donkor. You recall that on that morning, that is a Tuesday morning, we spoke to her son on the 6 a.m. news, the City Breakfast News on City FM, where he really confirmed that Madam Akua Donkor fell ill some days ago and was later moved from the Insawam Government Hospital to the Ridge Hospital, where she finally kicked the bucket some few hours after. So that's how come I got the news. I mean, as soon as the news came, it was quite sad. At the beginning, people were expressing their condolences to the family. People were writing about their experiences with Madam Akua Donkor. As it settled a bit, now the next question came: what next?
What next? Yeah.
What next? Because we are in a very critical part of our election. We've gone through nominations, we've gone through balloting, and even started printing of the ballot papers. So now everybody's question was, what is going to happen? Is the EC going to go ahead with the print and leave her on the ballot paper? Would the EC put a stop to it? Will she be removed, or will she be replaced by her party? So this was the conversation people started having somewhere in the early morning of the day, the next day, or the Tuesday, the next day of her death. Then, as usual, the legality sets in.
Sets in, obviously.
Yesterday, I was having a conversation on our show with the coverage of the Supreme Court's hearing in Parliament, and I made mention of the fact that this past few weeks and even few months and years has brought about a lot of constitutional issues. Constitutional issues.
Constitution has been put to test.
Yes.
In this land, from Parliament to Akua Donkor,
everywhere. So many different constitutional issues have come for interpretation, and this is one of them. What next? What should be done? The legal people have various reasoning and ideas about what needs to be done. Her party also has told us that they were going into a meeting and were going to release a statement as to what next. People have been asking, does the running mate automatically take over the position of the flag bearer?
And their argument is that in an instant where they are elected into office and there's a president and a vice president, and the president dies, automatically the vice president that takes over. So they are making those same arguments for the presidential candidates and the running mates.
So those were some of the issues which have been raised since her death. Quick enough, the EC released a statement.
The EC released a statement, and I'll take viewers through exactly what the EC said in respect of this particular statement, dated the 29th of October 2024, and it says, death of 2024 presidential candidate Madam Akua Donkor. And it says, the Electoral Commission has today, which is the 29th of October 2024, received information on the unfortunate passing of the presidential candidate of the Ghana Freedom Party, Madam Akua Donkor. May she rest in peace. I continue. While the 1992 Constitution and the Public Elections Regulation 2020 CI 127 are not clear on processes to follow in the event of the death of a presidential candidate, Article 54 of the 1992 Constitution provides as follows: where at the close of nomination but before the election one of the candidates dies, a further period of 10 days shall be allowed for nomination. It continues. The commission has since informed the Ghana Freedom Party to make arrangement to nominate a new candidate and inform the commission accordingly. In the meantime, the commission has suspended the printing of ballot papers, which was near completion. Thank you. Signed, Samuel Tettey, Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Now, the Electoral Commission is also relying on the 1992 Constitution because it says the CI was silent on this particular arrangement. So it says that based on what the 1992 Constitution says, which is Article 50, they've given a period of 10 days for the party to re-nominate or nominate a new individual who will take over as the presidential candidate.
Exactly. So the EC has decided to go with an aspect of the Constitution which addresses the death of a candidate. Yeah. The death of a candidate, what happens next? But there have been issues. I mean, as I said, people have different legal opinions about this issue. Whether really you can rely on Article 54 of the Constitution. There have been so many concerns about it. But let's look at what really Article 54 says, and we'll look at what the CI 127 also says. So we go onto our screen to check really what Article 50 says. Article 50 of the 1992 Constitution makes it very clear that where at the close of the nominations, but before the elections, one of the candidates dies, a further period of 10 days shall be allowed for nominations. And where the death occurs at any time within 25 days before the election in that constituency or unit shall be postponed for 21 days. So Article 50 gives us a broader idea of what has to be done, and even gives us time spans as to what to be done. It says that if the person dies within 25 days of the election would need to be postponed for another 21 days.
But this one is talking about a constituency.
Exactly.
A constituency.
Exactly. But let's build the argument from there and see what the others also say about it. So the Article 50 tells us just a candidate who dies and mentions a constituency. Fortunately for us, we are more than 25 days to the general election. Meaning that aspect of the Constitution which says that if it's 25 days within the election period or for the election to be held, the election needs to be postponed for 21 days, would not kick in. So that we are safe.
Okay.
We are not going there because we are safe. This we are about 36 or 37 days 37 days to an election. For 37 days, it means we are more than 25 days. So we don't have to even postpone the election for 21 days. Now the issue here is we need to open nominations for 10 days. You need to open nominations for 10 days, which the EC has done. The EC has written to the GFP to open nominations for 10 days for them to replace their candidate. Yeah. The question people are asking is that, does this mean that any other person can come and file within these 10 days? Because the law hasn't said specifically that open the nomination for the party whose candidate has died. So there are people who believe or have the opinion that within these 10 days, anybody can come and file. That is the thoughts and reasoning of some legal people. If it is so, it's going to open the floodgates for others to enter.
Even if they are not members of the party.
No, but you realize, let's take a look at this thing again. It says, where at the close of nominations, but before the election, one of the candidates dies, a further period of 10 days shall be allowed for nominations. They didn't say nominations for the party whose candidate has died. So legal people some of the legal people of the opinion that this 10-day window that the EC has opened gives way for other people to enter. Will the EC accept it? That is another legal issue the Supreme Court or the people who interpret our laws would need to address. Maybe in the
obviously,
future.
if you're not a member of the Ghana Freedom Party, you can't go and file.
But the Constitution never said that.
You're fine. The Constitution,
it says you open nominations for 10 days. I'm saying this is the argument.
Yes, I understand you. And my counter argument is that
yes.
Well, she was running on a ticket of a political party. The assumption is that
inference.
Yes, the assumption is that somebody from that same political party. If it's a different political party, the EC may want to raise issues with it, but then the argument and the normal, in quote, common sense would be that let somebody from the same political party come and file.
Exactly. So that is your view. That's also a view of some other people within the legal fraternity who say, look, you cannot just say because the nominations are open, everybody can enter. It's you just inference that the party who has lost its candidate should be given an opportunity to file. Do you understand? Yeah. So this has been some of the legal issues with Article 10 of the Constitution, Article 50 of the Constitution. But you see, the EC didn't just leave it at Article 50. Our elections are usually also governed by constitutional instruments. And the constitutional instrument governing the election is CI 127. Yeah. Public Regulations of Elections 2020. That's what governs our election.
And it's the same we are going to use for the 2024 election.
Exactly. And what happens is that usually the EC would use this CI to give regulations as to what should happen, the processes for the election. What we should have in mind is that this CI should be in agreement to the Constitution. Once it's against the Constitution, it doesn't stand. Yeah. But once it falls and is in agreement with the Constitution, is supreme, then it goes on. As we speak now, the CI 127 has not been found to be contradicting the Constitution.
Okay.
So it's still in use. The EC has not amended. The EC has not brought in a CI. So what does CI 127 say about the death of a person? So we start from the CI 127, clause 4 of that particular CI. And this is what he says. Where at the close of nominations, but before the elections, one of the candidates dies, a further period of 10 days shall be allowed for nominations.
It's the same as the Constitution.
Exactly. Exactly. So CI 127 clause 4 says, where at the close of nominations, but before the elections, one of the candidates dies, a further period of 10 days shall be allowed for nominations. That is what the EC has done. Mm-hmm. Let's look at CI 127 clause 5. Where the death of the candidate occurs at any time within 25 days before the election in that constituency shall be postponed for 21 days. The election in that constituency shall be postponed. The same thing
as the Constitution also mentioned.
Exactly. Yeah. Now let's go to CI 127 clause 17.1, which also deals with death.
Okay.
Where an election is to be held and a candidate dies on the eve of the election, and proof of the death of the candidate is given to the returning officer before the commencement of the poll, the returning officer shall put on hold proceedings in relation to the election and inform the commission. 2. The commission shall, on receipt of the information under sub-regulation 1, adjourn the poll and allow a period of 10 days for the political party to which the candidate belongs to nominate a new candidate. So you see, CI 127.2 deals with the issue of who is allowed,
the political party,
to bring in a new nomination. Is the political party. But it still does not address whether you can automatically say, okay, my candidate, my running mate was presented to you in a document as per requirement, so I am automatically asking you to put my running mate there. If it should happen, the needed processes has to be kicked in within the political party. There's the belief that Madame Akua Donkor was voted for by delegates of the party, upon which she nominated her running mate.
Roman father, as they call him.
Roman father. So then, the people of the party or members of the party who nominated her, they not just nominated her as an individual, not as a ticket.
Yeah.
So the people need to be given an opportunity to go back and decide whether they really want Roman father to take over the position as presidential candidate, or they want to bring a new person.
Yeah.
That decision is left with the delegates of the party. So now what has to happen now is the GFP would officially have to write to the EC within this 10-day period to inform the EC whether they are replacing with the current running mate, or they are bringing in a new candidate, or they are withdrawing.
Yeah.
But this still matter does not end here with the law. The people who believe that you cannot only rely on Article 50 of the Constitution will go and cite Article 47 of the Constitution. Article 47 of the Constitution, and this is what Article 47 of the Constitution says. And don't forget, Article 47 is before Article 50. So they believe that you need to read it as a whole. The people of this legal view say Article 47 says Ghana shall be divided into as many constituencies for the purpose of election of members of parliament as the Electoral Commission may prescribe. And each constituency shall be represented by one member of parliament. No constituency shall fall within that within more than one region. This is Article 47. The question they ask is that, is Ghana a constituency? In election purposes, the EC will tell you that Ghana is one constituency with one returning officer, which is the presidential election, which is the the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. You get it? But let's come back to read 47 again. Ghana shall be divided into constituencies for the purpose of election of members of parliament as the Electoral Commission may prescribe, and each constituency shall be represented by one member of parliament. No constituency shall fall within one region. It keeps quiet, or the Constitution is quiet about the presidential election. So if you take Article 47, and this is Article 47 comes before 50, and is giving you an idea of what it's talking about, and you come to Article 50, Article 50 of the Constitution, which says, where at the close of nominations, but before the elections, one of the candidates dies, a further period shall be 10 days shall be allowed for nominations, and where the death occurs at any time, 25 days before the election in that constituency. So is Ghana, that the argument is Ghana a constituency? Can these articles be related to a presidential election? These are the people who raise doubts or have a different opinion on the Article 50 kicking in for presidential election.
But many people can also justify their cause and say that in a presidential election, and in this case a presidential candidate, you may want to consider Ghana as one constituency, because she wasn't a parliamentary candidate. She was a presidential candidate. And the EC has made us to understand that in the presidential election, Ghana is just one constituency, but one returning officer.
The argument also is that the Constitution described Ghana as one constituency.
It didn't.
So the people who say
it was that interpretation.
Yes, pure interpretation.
Many will describe in a presidential election as Ghana one constituency. others will also interpret that because the constitution was silent on it and wasn't specific and only mentioned a constituency, they're thinking maybe Okaikwe Central or Okaikwe North.
Yes.
It will not be specific whether it was the entire country.
Yes.
The more reason why people make arguments for a constitutional review.
Sammy, yes, there's a need for a constitutional
I'm sure
review.
if we had this when it started under the late President John Evans Atta-Mills era, we would have put a finality to this matter.
But you see, the issue is that under the late John Evans Atta-Mills, he died before nominations.
Before nomination, yes. I've heard people make that argument.
Yes, he died before nominations. So it couldn't have kicked in. The NDC had time to replace.
Yeah. Go to Congress. Get your mama
They didn't
elected.
even go to Congress. It was a meeting of the National Council which approved John Mahama. But they had time to do that because they hadn't presented Professor Atta-Mills as their presidential candidate officially to the EC. So that did not kick in. The other issues people say is that, look, we may take this thing lightly and say we should take the woman out of it. We should take the GFP out of it because they are not a big party. They are not going to win anyway. But in the event somewhere in the future, touch wood, a presidential candidate of these major political parties passes away, we will say we should let it go or remove that party. These are some of the arguments people have been looking at. For me, I think that someone needs to go to the Supreme Court
and get an interpretation
to seek an interpretation. But the issue is, can we do that now?
Now, with some few days to the election.
Already, there's so much tension
and
around Parliament.
Already, the Electoral Commission has told that they put on hold the printing of ballots.
Exactly.
In the process. Assuming that everything works out and Madam Akua Donkor is taken out of the balloting papers or the ballot paper.
Yeah.
Does it mean they are going to print another ballot paper, a whole set, or they let's just remain as it is, but then just make the announcement that she's no more? So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out.
It depends. The moment the GFE presents a new candidate, the EC has to print new ballot papers.
Yeah.
There's no two ways.
And is that not going to delay the process all over again?
But that's the cost you pay for democracy.
Well,
that's the cost you pay for democracy. It means that then you're supposed to now quicken the processes.
The production. If a day was 1,000,
so the moment the
2,000,
GFP
3,000.
presents a new candidate, you need to print new ballots.
In the event they don't.
In the event they don't, now there are different school of thoughts.
We'll come back to that after this break. You're still watching The Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. We'll go for a break. When we come back, Fred will take us through in the event that the Ghana Freedom Party refuses to present a candidate as stipulated by the Constitution, what happens? We'll be back after this break.
They are the trailblazers, the pioneers, the unsung heroines who break barriers and set new standards.
Hello there, welcome to The Woman in You with me, Zoe Abubeidwado. Now, this is a show that celebrates the extraordinary resilience, strength, and leadership of women everywhere.
From the pioneers in enterprise, politics, and health, their stories are our stories.
I was very satisfied with doing something very little. But when my mother introduced the eggs and I started, it kept me so busy that I had to be there in the morning, afternoon, and evening.
I had been playing around with the different facets of it, and I realized, listen, I'm really onto something. I decided to formalize it, and I formalized it probably after, just navigating the space and doing different things and trying my hand at different things probably played around with it for like a good 5 years before I formalized it.
Be inspired, be empowered, be the woman you were born to be.
Join me, Zoe Abubeidwado, every week on Channel 1 TV as we celebrate these women who inspire, empower, and lead by example. It's time to celebrate the woman in you.
The Woman in You with Zoe airs Sundays at 6 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
welcome back. This is still the Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. Fred and I are discussing the possibilities of the, how do you call it, in the event that the Ghana Freedom Party refuses
what
to...
happens
what happens,
in the whole process of balloting.
If they get a candidate,
yes.
If they don't get a candidate, what happens to the whole balloting system? Are the positions on the ballot going to change?
Yeah.
Are they going to maintain? So Fred was taking us through the process and how, and he's calling for, you know, a constitutional interpretation as soon as possible. But we are racing against time. Is that going to be possible? It's just some 37 days to the election. Fred and I are just looking at the possibilities and the outcome of what is going to happen. So Fred, I was asking that in the event that the party does not get a candidate,
yes,
10 days,
yes,
no candidates,
yes,
will the space there be left blank, or the positions on the ballot will change, or they will maintain printing? 3 questions here. They will continue with the printing of the ballot papers, or stop, take Madam Akua Donkor's photo from the ballot and print new ones.
There are different school of thoughts. Let's start with your last one.
Yeah.
Where you say in case they don't represent anybody, would they maintain the ballot papers as it is and leave Madam Akua Donkor's name there? There's a school of thought which says that you don't do that. Why?
Okay.
It is dangerous. Dangerous in the sense that, what if at the end of the election,
Akua Donkor
wins?
Fred, you know that will never happen in Ghana.
No, you can't assume. You cannot assume.
It will never happen in Ghana.
You cannot assume.
I can donate my kidney on this one. It will never happen.
See, what if disgruntled Ghanaians who are very unhappy, who have been calling for an option of none of the above, decide that we are going to vote for them?
Even though it has happened before in the district assembly election,
yes,
I think somewhere in the water or the Western region, you know,
the diseased assembly member won the election.
That was just a district assembly election. Assembly election. Oh, come on, Sammy. It can never happen in a national election. It was just a district election.
You cannot write it off.
But I don't see this.
The question is, what if you keep it there and she wins the election? We are going to be in another constitutional crisis.
We'll let the ladder continue.
So that is the issue with keeping Akua Donkor there.
Yeah.
And leaving the ballot paper as it is.
But can't we get the printing houses just to cancel out, you know, where her photo is? Maybe you just put a blank ink there so no one sees her photo and the party symbol.
So there's also another school of thought which agrees with you, but another school of thought which also disagrees with you. Let me tell you what they say. The school of thought which agrees with you says it saves us a lot of money.
Yes.
And time.
And the EC says they were near completion of the printing.
It saves us a lot of that. This option saves us a lot of money and time. You use the black ink to clear it. But what if in using the black ink to clear it, there's a black ink which goes onto the candidate above or below? You have spoiled the ballot.
Or well, that's a justified argument though.
You may have spoiled the ballot.
Yeah.
So then on the day of counting, anybody can come and tell you that this ballot paper is not valid. Probably because at the printers, it got spoiled because of the ink. So that is the challenge with having the black ink to wipe off Madam Akua Donkor's name,
her face and
picture,
the party symbol,
the symbol, if the party decides not to bring any candidate. That is the challenge, the other challenge with that ink.
My friend,
the NDC agree with this your suggestion for the ink to be placed there, the black ink to be placed there.
It is the best option. For me, it is the best option.
But we live in a country where politicians do not trust each other.
Well,
are they going to tell us that on the day of the election, right, and they see a black ink probably on the next ballot or even
just
at
a little
at Dr. Bawumia's place with a vote for Dr. Bawumia, they would agree.
Yeah.
Or a black ink beneath, what do you call it? Akua Donkor, and a vote for John Mahama, they would agree. This is the challenge with the using the ink to cover and take off Akua Donkor from the ballot paper. The next one, which is becoming a bit more controversial, is
if they don't present a candidate,
clear her totally from the ballot paper.
Yeah.
Print a new ballot paper and clear her from there. So she's not going to be put there in
her
any
face
way.
will not going to show anywhere.
But what that means is that are you going to start from number 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Or you are going to say, I am moving everybody up. 1, 2, then the 4 becomes 3. The 5 becomes 4.
Agree?
The 6 becomes 5.
Will the parties agree when already they've started campaigning with their positions?
Exactly.
Because I've heard the NDC make argument that they will not allow a change in their position.
Exactly. Or are you going to reballot?
Who is going to agree to that?
Would the number 1 spot say I'll
agree to it? We're in a crisis.
These are the possibilities of what's in the next 10 days, what can happen with Akua Donkor's death. You see, it may be insignificant to you, as you said, that she may not win the election. But her death has brought up so many issues. So many issues which could go to
really
affect our
expose
elections.
our electoral system
and our laws.
And our laws.
How quiet our laws are on such issues.
Maybe
our regulations on the CI on such issues.
The framers of the constitution and the regulations never thought a candidate could die some few days.
Oh, Sammy, I doubt. Especially
it has never happened
especially
before.
If it has found itself in Article 47, Article 50 of the Constitution, where it talks about death.
Yeah.
I don't think they never thought about it. Probably they should have been clearer
enough
with both issues, presidential, parliamentary.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it was not something they thought about. And now we find ourselves in 2024. The year 2021 to 2024 has brought us so many issues.
Yeah.
We started with the hung parliament. This hung parliament is hanging itself to the end.
And as we speak, it's still hanging.
It's hanging itself to the end. Now we enter into an election and see all the issues which are coming up with this election. What could be worse than having one candidate to dying some few weeks before the election? And now all these issues happen. Right now, I think it's everybody's hope and belief that the GFP can present a candidate to resolve all these other concerns we have brought. The only thing we'd have to deal with as a country is to spend more, because then we are going to take away and burn all those, put away the printed ballots
and start all over again.
Will the printers be able to finish on time?
Yeah. So already one of them, the EC has to terminate the contract of one of these because according to the EC,
they had issues
producing below capacity, and so they had to replace them. This is a lot of work.
A lot of work, Sammy.
Democracy is expensive, as they say.
Democracy expensive, constitutional rule interesting.
Why would you do that at this time, madam? You're still watching The Situation Room. We're coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. Well, Fred, we are done with Madam Akua Donkor. Let's start with the political parties and their presidential candidates.
They haven't stopped campaigning.
They are still campaigning.
Yes.
Yeah.
For them, they believe the election will still take place. So
Dr. Bamia was in the Volta region, moved from the Volta region, came to Accra to come and do some few rounds.
Yes.
This morning we are told he's in the Ahafo region.
Yes.
Meeting the chiefs and people there. John Dramani Mahama was in Accra also recently, moved from the Greater Accra region. He's now in the Northern region. Yes. Also, campaigning and seeking the mandate of Ghanaians to be president again. What have they made up to, Fred? What have they been saying?
So I just, looking at their campaigns, something just occurred to me. In the last few weeks, I realized that they've done a lot of market tours.
Yeah.
So Dr. Bawumia came to Accra last week and spent about 2 days visiting markets. John Mahama has gone to the northern region. He's done a number of visits, but also visited some markets.
I think Dr. Bawumia started in Blinkuma, not I think Tuesday market
went to Okaishi,
and then went to Okaishi, Kaneshi market, and the rest. Well, perhaps they feel that market women are influential.
Yes, but
and if you want to test the pulse of, you know, Ghanaians and sort of, let's say, business people, traders are the best people you speak to. The Ghanaian trader always tell you, Charlie, I feel they are their crowd, but every year you see them there.
That's how they make.
You know, and getting to Christmas, you get opportunity to interact with them, one-on-one, because they feel the brunt of it when it comes to economic policies, whether it's good for them or it's not good for them. They feel it the most. So I'm sure visiting this market and interacting one-on-one basis with them is something that presidential candidates hope or think that it will inure or help them in their campaign. Remember, Alan Chamati was also in the Malata market not too long ago.
Yes.
So for Alan, he started the market campaign a long time ago.
A while ago.
Yeah, you know, started this whole market thing. You know, merely he was, you know, nominated as the party's, you know, candidate and the rest. So I feel the markets is somewhere the political parties and their candidates feel they can attract a lot of voters.
I mean, for me, the market, this is what I believe. You see, when you talk about cost of living, you talk about inflation, you talk about the depreciation of the cedi,
prices of goods and
services. At the end of the day, it is the traders who eventually would determine all those things, because they import, they would sell, and all that. So this whole cost of living, inflation, the depreciation of the cedi centers around them.
Yeah. So you can see on the screen, I think this was the Okaishi market.
Exactly, the Okaishi market.
The central business district of Accra, Okaishi, Katamanto, that enclave.
Yes.
You know, where Dr. Bawumia was, you know, interacting with these market women and the rest. Yes, it's that place, because you could see the MPP parliamentary candidate for Odio Manav with him. So it tells you that this is the Ododudio constituency, Okaishi, Katamanto, Mokola, that particular enclave.
So I think, we should take a report and see what he really went to tell the market people there.
Sure.
To the Greater Accra region to campaign in the Ododudio constituency and Ablekuma South constituencies. Unlike previous visits involving stakeholder engagements and community rallies, Tuesday's tour focused on connecting with traders in popular market areas. Starting at Mamprobi Tuesday Market, Dr. Bawumia was warmly received by traders who crowded him, eager to engage. Later, he met with market leaders who requested that the market be rehabilitated should he emerge victorious. The tour continued to the 31st December market in Okaishi market, where despite the rain, traders left their shops to show their support for Dr. Bawumia. He took time to address traders, expressing confidence in securing a win in the 2024 elections.
And here, Mehu Ewo Ghana nyina me kono esu chirese inshallah MPP will win the 2024 elections on December 7th. The Entina MPP, Yebedin Kunino, Efri Ejuma Yaye.
MPP presidential candidate Dr. Muhammad Bawumia in the Okainkwe, did I say Okainkwe?
Okaishi.
Okaishi Okanshi Market, the Katamanto, Mokola, Okanshi. I think the Central Business District of Accra, where you have a lot of traders in the interacting with them, confident that the MPP will win the December election. Fred, so as you were saying, the market is an important place for them to lead their campaign.
And you could hear the flag bearer of the MPP touting the achievements of the MPP and why they should vote for him and the MPP to continue. Let's move to the NDC, where John Mahama is in the northern region. In the northern region, he's also been touching base with various constituencies. He went to the Savelugu constituency, spoke to a number of the constituents there, promised them to build them a market, and so many other things. Let's take a look at this report and see what John Mahama has for the people of the northern region.
Historically, the Savelugu and Kumbungu constituencies have favored the NDC, reflecting the party's dominance in northern Ghana. In Kumbungu, Mahama secured over 26,000 votes, while Nana Akufo-Addo of the NPP received 37% of the votes. In Savelugu, Mahama garnered over 62%, while Akufo-Addo secured 37%. Despite the NDC's strong win in these constituencies from the presidential elections, their opponents, the NPP, are making inroads with the parliamentary elections. In the last parliamentary elections, however, the NDC's Abdullahi Jacob Idris won the Savelugu seat with just over 60%, narrowly defeating the NPP's Mohammed Abdul Samad Gunu. In the Kumbungu constituency, the NDC's Dr. Hamza Adam claimed victory with nearly 20,000 votes, defeating the NPP's Idrisu Mokhtar. Addressing a rally in Savelugu and Kumbungu on Wednesday, October 30th, 2024, Mahama criticized the vice president for avoiding direct answers, likening his response to that of a kindergarten child reciting a rhythm. He emphasized that the economy is the central issue of this election, invoking Bill Clinton's famous 1992 campaign phrase, "It is about the economy."
The way the Ghanaian economy is in crisis today, and people were talking about immigration, talking about all kinds of useless things. You know what the Clinton people said? It is about the economy. Today, I'm repeating those words. This election is about the economy. It's not about all those other useless things about who built how many compost plants. Answer the 5 simple questions. And you can't hide behind the debate. You don't need a debate.
John Dramani Mahama, presidential candidate of the NDC. Fred, this week has been interesting between the two of them.
Yes.
I mean, Dr. Baumia and John Mahama.
Very, very interesting.
Questions and attacks.
Yes,
and I'm excited about it. It tells me an election year.
Yes,
it tells me some few days.
It tells you that we are very close to the election. Campaigns has intensified. The presidential candidates are not resting. They are touring the entire country. The running mates are doing same.
Fred, I've had first-hand experience when it comes to campaigning in Ghana since 2008. The last time was 2020. It's tough campaigning in Ghana.
Really, really tough.
Fred, the roads especially. I understand why they get tired, after every round of campaigning. The roads are bad, hotels, you don't get any proper places to sleep. Sometimes you sleep in the vehicles. Today, I wish one day you join the campaign trail. You know how it is. You're still watching The Situation. We're coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll tell you more on what the candidates have been doing on the campaign trail.
What do you need from your leaders? And how can we build stronger constituencies?
Welcome to the constituency on Channel 1 Television. My name is Samuel Akom.
Every voice matters. Every story counts. Welcome to the constituency, the show that brings you closer to the heart of Ghana.
Market yawaha inti here market kesi waha.
Dining aduane na we say free. When you rich, nampun da so leaves na dimpun go so Tama school no ye.
Join us every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Channel 1 TV as we explore the real issues facing our communities. From education and healthcare to jobs and infrastructure, we shine a light on the needs of the people.
Now it's obvious that Ghanaians will look at it twice to make sure the NDC as a party will come into government 2025.
So say no dey nye obi apo yes we gina higher pa say me hu me bi no say nsu na ka mama nipa ko no wache no
anka metu aba ma Jesus abeboa mi.
As December 7, 2024 approaches, it's time to empower ourselves and hold our leaders accountable. Get ready for insightful discussions, inspiring stories, and the chance to make your voice heard. Don't miss The Constituency. Tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Channel 1 TV. Your voice, your constituency, your future.
You're welcome back. This is still The Situation. We're coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sammy Wiafe and I'm doing this with Fred Tettey Djabanor. Fred, let's still go back to Madam Akua Donkor because I have an interest in that particular, issue, and a lot of Ghanaians also have interest in it. Now, assuming, let me just play the devil's advocate here. Assuming that the EC decides that, okay, we'll maintain it as it is. They don't bring a candidate, and it's just a 7. There were 13 in number, right? Yes. And it goes back to 12. The people still maintain their positions on the ballot, and Madam Akua Donkor is not on the ballot.
Yes.
Can anybody take legal action against the Electoral Commission?
I don't think that the issue of balloting is something which is written in law. Even when you go through the CI 127, I've been trying to look for a place of balloting, but the CI 127 doesn't really talk about balloting. It just talks about positioning and party flags and colors. It doesn't talk about balloting. So I doubt anybody could go to court
on this.
But you see, we live in a country of legalities. People always knowing and interpreting the law in different ways. That is why our courts are open for people to go and litigate issues they believe need litigation. But for me, scanning through the Constitution, scanning through CI 127, I haven't seen anywhere in the law where it specifically talks about the balloting for presidential candidates. I haven't seen anything like that.
Fred, will it change anything at all if the EC decides to allow what it is now to be as it is?
When you say what it is now, you mean the current status quo?
Yes.
Where you have Akua Donkor?
Yes.
As part of it?
Yes. You've explained that many people may want to.
So if she wins the election, if she wins the election, we are just assuming, doing assumptions here. If she wins the election, what happens? Is his running mate going? But then you see, that's where the constitutional crisis will come.
Because when the president died, the vice president takes over automatically.
Exactly. That is where people would go back to the constitution, especially the people who believe in Article 50 of the constitution would go and tell you that they believe that the constitution and framers of the constitution saw something like that. That's why they opened a window for 10 days for new nominations. So for me, I don't believe and I don't want Akua Donkor's picture, party, and her party logo to be left on the ballot paper if they decide not to contest.
If they get a candidate, the EC has to do a new printing of the ballot. Can this not delay the elections?
I don't think it will delay the elections.
After all, have elections on December 7th.
After all, the printing,
but if the EC is overwhelmed,
the EC will not be overwhelmed.
I'm just trying to act funny. Can the EC ask that, okay, because of this particular issue, can we postpone the election to, let's say, some few days instead of December 7th? Let's do election in December 10th, December 15th. Is that not possible?
The law will kick in here again. The law is very specific. If it is within 23 or 25 days to the election, you can postpone it to 21 days. The law was also very clear. If it's before that, you just open nominations for 10 days. So the EC would not postpone the election. And you see, our election, is, especially a parliamentary election, has been set in such a way that you cannot go beyond a particular number of days or a particular number of days to swear in a new parliament. So that will be a bit difficult. So I doubt the EC can't do that or will do that. The best way for the EC around this thing is to print new ballot papers.
Go look for money and print new ballot.
No. I mean, once we've opted to practice the democracy, wherever we are going to get the money to print the ballot papers, we
have to.
And in terms of time, the EC had issued or put together a time frame to issue to print.
But they didn't anticipate this happening.
No, it doesn't matter. But you see, that time frame did not coincide closely to the election. They were expecting to end printing in the first week of November. Do you get it?
And but with this development, it means it will have to go back.
They started printing just about a week or two ago. So if it's 2 weeks and you are going to end in the first week of November and it's been halted for 10 days and it starts next week, you still have another 2 weeks to print. So I don't think for time frame is anything which would cause us to postpone the election.
The processes.
Yes.
Interesting there. My name is Sammy Wiafe. That was Djabanor, my co-host. It's been another exciting edition of The Situation Room that came to you live from our studio here in Adabraka in Accra. So we'll come away again next week. Be good.